Hey YouTube family, Ken from Marlowe Bricks here. So as you all know, I'm a big train fan, and lately I've been working on ballasting my train track. It makes really nice presentation at the shows, gives that really nice pop factor, wow factor, and so I'm going to show you how I ballast my R56 curves. These ones are injection molded. They're from a company called BrickTracks, and I've actually bought two full circles from them, which is 4 sets of track, and I've been really happy with them. So let's see how it's done. So let's answer the first question first. Why did I say R56? Well, this is your standard Lego curve. You can buy this, it comes in any of the train sets. When you buy curves from Lego, this is all they offer. This is the only one that's available. So unless you want to do the flex tracks, which I'm not a big fan of. So this is your standard curve. Now, when they say R40, that's what this is an R40. It's the number of studs from the center point of the curve. You have 1, 2, 3 for the rail, and then 4 studs. And then if you keep counting your studs, and you count from here in, your radius is 40 studs. So it's an R40. So why buy an R56? Well, when you do an R56, and you put them just inside each other like this, your two curves follow each other perfectly parallel from the straight track. And that's if you take if you have 8 studs in between. So this happens to be a 2x10. And if I put this here to connect those two, there's 8 studs in between, and it's 8 studs in between all the way across. And so it makes a nice, perfect parallel going across. So that's why we like the R56, and then of course they keep going more and more and more all the way up, and it's another 16 studs from center point to center point, because you have 4 for the track, 8 in the middle, 4 for the track, and then you keep going and you have another 4, and so that'll be 72, I believe, if I'm doing my math right in my head. The 72 would be your next one, and so on. I only have the two. I only have the R40 standard and the R56. I like the R56. I like both of them, but the R56 is nice for the larger engines. They can make the curve a lot easier. There's less drag, and I think it just looks a little nicer on the layout. But for doing 2 parallel tracks, this is also great, having both options here. You can have 2 parallel tracks follow through the curve at the same time. So that's why R56. And like I said, Lego doesn't make it, so we have to go to third-party companies. In this case, this was with a company called BrickTracks. So it actually does say, has a BT on there for their company name. And I think it's really well done. They do it the same method that Lego does, which is injection molded. So they come out really well. And there's really good adhesion factor on them, really good clutch on it. So there's our R56 curve. Now, the next question, why go to the trouble of ballasting? It's so labor intensive and it's so part intensive. Well, you look at a ballasted curve versus a regular curve. These are both BrickTracks curves. They're both R56, and it just looks better. I mean, it's just the display when you're at a show and you see it, just plain track laying on a green plate versus a nice ballasted track. It's, I'm not knocking using these. I've done it at plenty of shows. I've just put them down and called it good because I haven't gone to this trouble yet, but it just looks better. It looks really nice, really smooth. So a good example of that is here's a switch. And this is actually on mills, which is a whole nother ball game, but it's on mills, and it's it looks really nice and smooth, and you can put all these up to each other, and they have a nice transition between them. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish here. On the bottom here, these two can be replaced with a 2x8, and these two can be replaced by a 2x10. It's a 6 and a 4 and a 4 and a 4. So it just depends on what parts you have available. So this is the parts that I'm going to use to build this particular curve. I did not have enough 2x6s, so I switched to 2x10s over here, and I do have enough of the 2x4s with the 2x3s to complete this. So right now I'm going to be using 12 2x4s, 5 2x3s, 3 2x10s, and 2 2x6s. Again, these can be all 2x10s, or you can do 5 2x6s and 5 2x4s. I also have 10 1x2s, 10 1x1s, 15 1x2 door rails, 5 1x1 round plates. I believe there's 20 1x1 tiles and 10 1x4 tiles. The tiles can be in the color of your choice. It depends on what color you want your sleepers to be. I chose reddish brown because I felt that it was a good universal color. I can use it on pretty much any layout, whether it's in the city or in the country, or it's an Old West, or it's a more modern layout. They use wood sleepers everywhere. If you want a more modern look, you can go with a light gray and kind of give it that more concrete sleeper look. So I like to start on the bottom and build my base. So I always take one that I've already built and I just follow the example. So when you lay it down, make sure you start with a stud on each side. That'll give you the correct overlap that you need for it. I wanted to put that one on the end, so I'm going to hang on to it for a minute. Doesn't really matter. I mean, these BrickTrack tracks have enough clutch power that I have not found any issue. It's actually, I have to kind of really press it together firmly, which is nice. It's better than it not having enough. So there's all my 2x10 equivalents, and then I'll finish up with a 2x8, which in this case I'm using two 2x4s. Okay, and then to the next step on the bottom here is going to be these 1x2 plates. And they're going to go off the end of the 2x8 section. There we go. Okay, so there's 5 of those there. So that's all we can do on the bottom for now. We do have the door rail, but we need a way to support it. It's going to go right there in that gap. So if we flip it over, the 1x2 plate is going to go right there, and that's what our door rail is going to hang off of on the bottom. So we'll do all 5 of those real quick. And then we'll grab 5 of these door rails, and they're going to go like so. And just helps fill out that little gap that's there from the curve. Curve creates a little triangle shape or trapezoid shape, and we're just trying to fill it in a little bit. Okay, so that side's done. So yep, that side's done. So this side, we're going to do a 1x1 plate on the bottom of the inside corner. It's a little stiff in there. And then we're going to do a 1x1 round plate. So a square plate and then a round plate. Oops, don't drop it on the floor. And because it's on the inside of the curve here, it's a little bit stiff, but it will pop in. I wouldn't sit down and do a full circle in one night. I wouldn't do all 16 at once. It's just a little too hard on the hands. I've been doing, you know, a couple a night and I switch off and do something else. So there's the inside curve is done. So now we have to do the inside itself. So I always have to check and see how I did the other one. So the 1x1 plate will go right there in the inside corner on all 5 1x1 square plates. Like so, inside corner, and then the door rail goes opposite of it. And again, it just helps hide that little gap that's there. So you can see I had the plate there and the door rail there, and then I got rid of that gap that's right there. Okay. Oh, I misspoke. I do not use the 2x3s that I pulled. That's for the other curve. So you do not need the 5 2x3s. Here is the alternative method I mentioned. There we go. So I have the 1x1 round plate there next to the 1x1 square plate on the inside there where the door, whoops, where the door rail is. So just right next to that I have the square plate and the round plate, and that helps lock in that sleeper that goes across here. The other alternate is on the bottom. Instead of using 2x6, if you have a lot of 2x3s, you can use them up real easily in this spot. So then that's why I had all those 2x3s sitting out, is because that's something that I will often do. So the longest time that it takes me to do something is these little 1x1 square tiles, just because there's a lot of them for one, but I always make sure I put them on straight as I go. And I've seen some tricks on how to get them to all line up the same. Like one guy on a straight track, he'll take like a plate, you know, like a large plate, and you'll like push it down on the edge and it gets it all nice and straight. I'm kind of afraid of scratching it up, and I don't mind just taking my time and putting them on straight as I go. So it does matter where these go. I mean, obviously you want every other one, but I started in a specific spot. So I started right here, and the reason I did that, well, not only am I looking at my other one, but I needed to land on that 1x1 square that I put in the middle, and that way it hides this hole right here. So when I put that down right there, I can kind of move that around a little bit, and it'll hide that hole. Now I have done it where I put a 1x1 round plate right there next to the square, and having the two plates keeps this nice and straight, because you notice I have to sit there and twist it around. So that is an option. I have done that on a couple of them. But the nice thing about not having it is that you can twist it around. So if it doesn't quite line up when you do the other side, like so, it doesn't quite, let me get that in camera. If it doesn't quite line up, you can nudge that over a little bit and get it to line up. So if you have the round down there, you can't do that, but usually with the round down there, it's pretty close. So, you know, it's an optional piece there. If you have the extra little 1x1 round plates, that's something that you can do. couple more of these. Oops, I think that one, nope, that's in the, I feel like that one went in the wrong spot. Oh. Oh yeah, I see where I skipped one. And I realize I skipped one because the 1x1 square tiles go on top of the 1x1 square plates. And so I ended up putting that one on top of a round plate, and that kind of clued me in something was wrong. Okay. So there we go. One more done. So there we go. This is a quarter curve, 2 parallel tracks with their ballast on them. This is following L-Guage, which is l-gauge.org. They have a bunch of instructions on there on how to do this. They have the R40 on there using standard Lego track. It's really easy to follow. They show you all the parts. It's just regular Lego instructions. You just have to source the parts yourself. Their R56 curves are based on a different manufacturer's track, and it doesn't. They don't have this manufacturer on there, so I had to figure this out myself, and that's why I'm doing the video. So I'm not going to show you how to do the R40, and I'm also, you know, like I did this one, and this is directly following their guide. So there's no point in me showing you on how I did this. The only, you know, I didn't really make any difference on it or any changes to it. The nice thing about following these guides is they have a kind of a standard in the industry. And so if everyone follows them, then when we get together and display together, our builds will go together, connect together seamlessly. And that's what the MILS means. It's Modular Interlocking Landscaping System. So this is a MILS plate, and then this is the L-Guage ballast system. So the nice thing is once I get this onto MILS plates, these two will connect up seamlessly. And so I'll be able to switch and take the wider curve or the shorter curve. And it makes a really nice, elegant display. So thank you so much, and I'll catch you guys soon.